Hello and welcome to our video on calculating the mean from a grouped frequency table. Sometimes we group information and you find that comes in there and you're asked to estimate the mean number of workers or the mean number of data you've got there. In this case, Sarah is a recruitment officer, manager of a large company. She's got some information about the workers in each of the 20 offices. Now, if we look at this very carefully, we've got them grouped in 4 groups. One is 1 to 10 workers in an office, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, and so on. And the number of offices that have got 1 to 10 workers was 9, and so on in there. So to work out the mean or estimate the mean from a group frequency table, the first thing we've got to find is the midpoint. Okay, and we're going to multiply that by the frequency, which in this case is our number of offices that we've got here. So we've got to work out the midpoint between 10 and 1, and to do this we do 10 take away 1, which equals 9. Then we divide that 9 by 2, and that will equal 4.5. So if we add 4.5 onto 1, we find our midpoint in this case, which is 5.5. In a moment, we're going to multiply that by 9 to find our frequency. Our total in there. We then take the next midpoint between 11 and 20. Well, it's going to be 4.5 on top of 11, which would be 15.5. And we're going to multiply that by 8. Then we take the next one, which will be 25.5, and we multiply that by 2. And finally, 35.5, we're multiplying that by 1. And then we look at our totals for each of these amounts. And again, we can use a calculator for these. So for our first one, we have got 5.5, and we're multiplying it by 9, which equals 49.5. On our next line down, we've got 15.5 times by 8, which is 124. The next one, we have got 25.5 times by 2, which equals 51. And finally, we've got 35.5 times by 1, which I think comes to 35.5. Okay, the next step we do, our total number of offices, it should be 20 because she was doing 29 and 8 is 17, 2 more, 19 and 1 more, so that's a 20 total in there. We then add up all our totals that we've got here, so we can start with all our totals in here. We've got 49.5, add together 224. Add 51 again, check your calculator if you're using a calculator that you've inputted the right numbers, and that comes to 260. So now we want to estimate the mean. So if we're estimating the mean, we're going to take our total and we're going to divide it by our frequency. Okay, and our total in this case is 260, and we're dividing that by our number of offices, which is 20. That's our frequency, which equals 13. So our estimated mean number of workers in an office equals 13. So that's one example of finding the mean or estimating the mean from a grouped frequency table. Now I'm going to look at a slightly different example. So you get working at two different examples, and let's see how we do with this. The table below shows information about the number of customers that visited a restaurant on each of the 30 nights in June. And we're going to do this exactly the same way. We're going to take our midpoint, so I'm just going to call it MP, and we're going to multiply it by our frequency, okay, in each case. So we look at our midpoint. We've got 15, take away 1, which is, whoops, I put 51, take away 1. That's a mistake. 15, take away 1, which equals 14. And half of 14 is 7. So in this case is, 14 divided by 2 equals 7. So if we add 7 onto 1, we'll get our midpoint of 8. Again, same distance is 7 there, so we add 7 onto 16, we'll get 23. Notice that that's 15 more. I add 7 onto 31, we get 38, and 7 onto 46, I will get 53. So there are midpoints, and we're multiplying each midpoint by the frequency. So we're using this to estimate the mean. So we've got 8 times by 1, 23 times by 9, 38 times by 12, and 53 times by 8. And we've got our totals in the end column here. And we're just going to work those out. I think 8 times 1 is 8. 23 times by 9. Again, be careful if you're putting this on a calculator, be careful that you input the right numbers, and that's 207. We've got 38 times by 12, which equals 456. And finally, we have got 53 times by 8, which equals 424. To estimate the mean, we'll just move this down a little bit, that we've got some space. We look at our frequency. Well, there's 30 nights in June, so we're just going to check we've got every night taken care of. 1 and 9 is 10. 8 would make 22, and 8 more. 12 would make 22, and 8 more would make 30. So we have 30 in there. Yes, we've got 30 nights. We've got the right amount of data in there. We're going to add up all our totals here. So we can do it manually. We can do it by calculator. I'm just going to put that 8. So it's in the right column. So we're going to add these up. 8 and 7 is 15. And 6 is 21. And 4 is 25. So we've got a 5 here. Carrying over 2. We've got 2. And 2 is 4, and 5 is 9. So we've got a 9 here. And then finally, we've got 4, and 4 is 8, and 2 more is 10. So we have an answer for our total of 1,098. If we want to just check that on the calculator, we can do that. So we just check the answer. 8 plus 207 plus 456 plus 424 equals, and we have it right, 1,095. So now to find the mean, we take 1,095, which is our total, and we divide it by our frequency, which is 30, and we put that on our calculator, and we then come up with our estimated mean customers per night, which is 36.5 customers. And it's an estimated mean. So we're going to have 36.5 customers per night on as our mean. Thank you for watching and listening. I hope that's helped you with finding the estimated mean from a grouped frequency table. So find the midpoint for each group and multiply it by the frequency, adds up all your totals and divide by your total number in your frequency column. And that will give you your estimated mean of your data. Thank you for watching.